how did you get that good when it comes to public speaking?
Well, I could not say a word after.
Wow,
And to be honest, it was due to the fear of public speaking.
your word.
Absolutely.
So, what is that particular thing that you could say was actually the game changer for you?
A lot of people have assumed that public speaking is a talent, but I have always tried to explain to people that I see public speaking rather as a skill than a talent. And I realized that I had potential. And I realized that the window through which my potential can reach the world that I've come to serve is true. Some people have gone through schools, they've acquired certifications, but they are not still educated. If only people know that, yes, YouTube is also a school.
A lot of things that I'm actually very surprised how you manage these things.
There is a big mismatch
A big one.
between what is obtainable in the university curriculum or tertiary institution curriculum, so to speak, and what the work requires or the job requires.
What is your secret time management?
My wife was in labor practically, and I was there, but she was already in the theater, in the labor room. At that point, I cannot do anything.
You mentioned that with the way the society is trending, you are going to be having a lot of useless alpha males. Would you rather invest in Bitcoin or real estate?
Real estate.
Is education a scam?
Of course, there are a variety of definitions for education, but the one I like to use is that education is the avenue through which you develop your potential. You acquire knowledge, skills, value, orientation, and
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to have you here.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's also my pleasure to be on the show.
I have a lot of questions to ask,
Okay.
but before I go into those questions, I would first like to know what your background is like.
Okay.
What do you do?
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. My background, as the question as regards what I do, so I'll break it down into 4 different segments. The first is my background career-wise. I engage in professional development services and career linkages services. Talks about career development programs like employability programs, training, writing of CVs and the likes of people. That is on the one side. And on the other side, I engage in social works that has to do with the sustainability, particularly SDGs. I've worked with government agencies and international agencies within that space to advance the cause of the Sustainable Development Goals. Then on the other hand, I engage in some voluntary and community development works, of course, across different areas. And lastly, it's in the religious aspect, I engage in some Islamic work, particularly teaching in the world of Arabic and Islamic studies. So those are the 4 areas that I think I have branches when it comes to what I do and background.
So you are very, very versatile.
Maybe.
Actually, going back, 2 years back, the first time I actually met you and saw you actually moderating a program,
Okay.
I think it was in the university, in the college. So, and I was quite surprised when I actually discovered that you're a student like us because I was amazed. I was flabbergasted because the kind of presentation that you did that day, I couldn't fathom it coming out from a student. So when I got to know that you are also a student, I was very, very amazed. Now, the question I want to ask now is, how did you get that good when it comes to public speaking?
All right. Thank you so much. Public speaking is a very great niche for me, and I like to share a backstory. A lot of people have assumed that public speaking is a talent, but I have always tried to explain to people that I see public speaking rather as a skill than a talent, and I'll explain. I remember when I was in secondary school, I was selected to represent my school then in a debate competition. So I attended a public school for my secondary school, but a private school for my primary school. Even though my primary school also have a secondary school, which is the private one, but I couldn't go there. I went to a public school at the secondary school level. So the debates happened to be within this my secondary school and my former school. People think I used to be intelligent, or maybe I was intelligent. So there's an impression and expectation of me in the whole build up to that debate. So I was also selected as the youngest to join the seniors. So some seniors were not having it. Why will someone from SS1 be working with people in SS3 to represent the school? Why not pick some from amongst them? So there was even animosity even before the whole thing. But I kept preparing, I kept planning. And some of my own mates were not also having it because why me as at that time? But I didn't know why I was also selected too. But maybe people think I was smart or intelligent. I don't know. So on the day of the debate, I was the supporting speaker. I was to face the crowd, my secondary school mates and the student from other school. And I have observed something also before that period. The moment they arrived in our school, because it happened in my school. So the moment they arrived, I think I was acting as the timekeeper. I wasn't the timekeeper at any point. I was acting as the timekeeper for the school then. So I went to ring the bell for break time, and they saw me. I could see a bit of fear written all over their face. I mean, the people from other school. But something astonishing happened. It was that my chief speaker came on board. She delivered a presentation. But when it was my turn as the supporting speaker, there was a lot of noise, the cheering and everything. But you will be surprised, and I was also surprised, that day, after the usual formalities and greetings in debate, Mr. Chairman, accurate timekeeper, I could not say a word after.
Wow.
And to be honest, it was due to the fear of public speaking, nothing else. Now, that day I felt and I wished, and this is me remembering it clearly, I wished that the ground opened and swallow all of us. Now, it was quite, I look back and whenever I flash back and remember that scenario, I felt, how selfish was I? Why? I didn't want anyone to keep that memory of that scene in their head. So the news of my poor performance, of course they won because I didn't perform. So, at the end of the day, I was given a chair that, okay, just leave the stage. Go. That ovation that say, just leave the stage. It was quite embarrassing. So the news of my poor performance got home before me because our home is situated along that former school. So when they were going home, they were talking about, people heard. And so it was a disaster. I couldn't process a lot of things throughout that period. And it made me think that public speaking is something I would never do.
Wow.
I started writing. So I was writing.
That's a better alternative.
So I was writing early on Facebook as far back as 2011, 2012. I was writing, posting, doing up until 2015, 2016. I was still doing much of writing. But the more I get into the world, I realized then at that period, there's something called thought leadership. So it became a thing, particularly on Facebook, 2013, 14, 15. There were a lot of coaches who came on board on Facebook at that time. So the concept of thought leadership became a thing. And I realized that they were doing it big because they were able to do public speaking.
Yeah, definitely.
So I started getting trained. I started attending events. I also started working on my vocabulary, but I figured I had no issues with English vocabulary. I had issues with confidence. So I started engaging in activities that would improve my level of confidence. Attended trainings, attended classes, go for events, meet people, network with people, and all of that. So I started doing a bit of presentation anytime the opportunity comes. So I remember in my 100 level, we were supposed to have a program at Al-Mustakshif. So Al-Mustakshif is the editorial crew of the MSSN FUNAB. So back then in our 100 level, the person who was supposed to anchor that program said he was not available. He was campaigning then at the SCG level, so he was not available. And someone from the team just said, Brother Toheeb would do it. And everybody said yes. I've never done it with them. They've never seen me do it. I don't know how or why the person said I should. So eventually, I did it on that day. And if I did like a pro, of course, there will be some professional issues here and there that I haven't mastered. But the moment I did it, They picked me that day, and everybody said, "Where have you been?" Were asking, "What level are you? Are you in your finals? Are you graduating already?" I said, "No, I'm in 100 level." So,
Exactly.
and it became a theme. So I started doing it within school and outside school. I did it. We went to a lot of conferences. I know at least about 5 states within the country where I've spoken on very big podium, and even outside the country. Then I was in school. I still travel outside the country like twice, where we went for presentations and all. So it became a thing. I was doing it back to back. And one of the platform that I had was the school, all thanks to the system of the university, FUNAB in itself. So there were a lot of programs every Wednesday. So there will
Yeah.
always be
Yeah.
people coming to me, come and moderate our program. It was through that doing that I mastered the arts, large, to a great extent, and I became one of the prominent voices on campus regarding that aspect. So I started now at the point I started training. I started conducting training rather because I believe that there are a lot of people whom I would also like to train. So I started explaining to people that it is more of a skill. So, and that is how it became. And today, to the glory of Almighty Allah, we've done a lot of things
A
with that
lot.
skill.
I
I
mean, a
mean,
lot.
alhamdulillah.
Oh, okay. I think that's one of the most interesting story I've ever heard because you've come from someone with a background of, having that fear,
Absolutely.
then becoming someone that is so eloquent. I think
Alhamdulillah.
that's really something great. So, what exactly do you think you could say was the game changer that actually made you overcome that fear of public speaking? There are some people that, for example, me personally, I think it was the fact that I actually asked my mom, and then she said, whenever you are talking, just look down. Don't look at the people.
Okay.
That's what I've been using until I got to understand that even the people are not looking at you, they are just listening to your words.
Absolutely.
So, what is that particular thing that you could say was actually the game changer for you?
For me, it was an internal mechanism. So, what do I mean by internal mechanism? I realized that I had potential, and I realized that the window through which my potential can reach the world that I've come to serve is through public speaking. I realized that I was limited. I was playing small game. So I was haunted by feeling inadequate and guilty every day that, bro, guy, you can do more than what you're doing. So it is the constant feeling of guilt and inadequacy that made me say, I will, regardless. I will, whatever happens, happens. I will go there and do what I want to do. It's not easy. It never came easy. There will be moments of doubt, but eventually, with time and consistency, it became a thing.
So, talking about your trainings and your programs that you do,
Yeah.
because I've known you like moderated series of programs that even I think one of the programs that I actually invited you to come and moderate, and you informed me that you were the one that moderated this. I couldn't remember the name of the program. I was like,
Yeah.
no, you're going way bigger than I can even think of. And alhamdulillah for that.
Thank
So, talking about your students and your products, so how many people do you think you have been able to, you know,
Train.
train and impact when it comes to public speaking?
So for public speaking training, I conduct trainings on public speaking and corporate event hosting because that's also a part that is a bit
There are
of,
different things.
yeah, there are two different things. Public speaking in general, and I'll break it down. So for public speaking, I have been conducting training since 2021.
2021.
Yes, of corporate proper trainings
Wow.
since 2021. And we do it cohorts by cohorts. I remember the first 3 years we have back-to-back trainings for 4 weekends, 4 weekends, 4 weekends. And at least 10, 20% will register per cohort. It was free at the start. Later, I just attached a commitment fee of a token to it. So to be honest, I can't place a number to it because sometimes I have large numbers of people that I do trainings for. Other times, just a few selected people. And other times, I have people who come for personalized training. So I've had someone come to me. She said, a woman, she said she got a lecturing job and she saw one of the person I trained
Wow.
moderated the program. So she approached the lady and said, how did you get this good? The person said, I got trained by this person. Then she said out to my contact. She reached out and said she just got a lecturing job and she has been thinking of how she would undo class perfectly. And from what she saw from that lady, she believed that she did that session well. So and she believed. So I conducted training for her. We had the training. We've even become career partners today, and a number of people like that who come for customized, tailored training. So I can't even put a number to it, but I know that I've trained, without exaggeration, well over 200 people for public speaking generally. But for corporate event hosting, which is a core professional aspect for public speaking, because it is not only about speaking, it's about managing events, hosting, and engagement. So when I was in 400 level in school, I had 1 year left, and the trajectory of what corporate event hosting looks like in my school then looked like it was going to hit a rock bottom when I left the school, because not a lot of people were interested in that field. A lot of people were interested.
You're like, you monopolized the whole thing.
It happened naturally. So a lot of people were interested in doing social events, hype man and the likes of them, than corporate events, because corporate events seems you don't have money, people will not give you money, tips, and all of that. Plus, it seems like something that is well structured and boxed around a very corner. But I let people understand, no, that's not what it is. So I put up a call for training, and I got about 22 students who registered. But I know that 22 students would not be corporate event hosts. So I narrowed that number down to 8.
Focused on those.
So those 8 people, I trained them throughout my entire 500 level. Every weekend, we were always having trainings. Every weekend. I honestly just would not want to mention names, but think about anyone who have handled a corporate event host the moment I step out of school, or even when I was in 500 level, I trained that person.
Wow.
In Funa. The moment I stepped out, it was a proper training they went through. Proper training. So all of them went through training, and alhamdulillah, when I left school, in fact, when I left, I told them that the legacy of training must continue, that they should also train other people. And I think they've been trying with that, because some of them have now graduated and some are still within the university campus. And not only that they are bounded within the school system, they are also taking territories outside the school system, hosting events. I know of a lot, events in private events, government institution-based events, and the likes. So the number is enormous for public speaking, but it's still few for corporate event hosting, because it's a calling for professionals.
Just made me speechless.
It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, you've been talking about school, your public speaking
Engagements.
when you were in school, and I personally have also known that you are someone that's very, very adamant when it comes to schooling. So I would like to pitch in that question, that what do you think is the future of education in Nigeria? Or should I say, is education a scam?
Okay. Thank you so very much. So anyone who have followed my writings or engagement so far would know that I am a strong advocate for education,
Definitely.
schooling, and formal, semi-formal, and informal education. The reason is because education is the vehicle that will take you from here to there. That's what I believe. So let's take it back to the root word, the meaning of education. The word education came from a Latin word, and it's educare, right? And what does it mean? Of course, there are a variety of definition for education, but the one I like to use is that education is the avenue through which you develop your potential. You acquire knowledge, skills, value, orientation, and character. Now, a lot of people do not put that character, and that's why I intentionally added it, so that we can break it down further. The question then is education or is schooling in Nigeria, is it a scam? Or schooling in anywhere else, is it a scam? No, this is why. School is an institution. Schooling is a process of acquiring knowledge within the school, which is an institution. However, school is not the only institution through which we acquire education.
Yeah, definitely.
The streets, religious institution, the family front, any other place that you can learn.
I think
you get education there.
School is a
Formal and structured place of learning that has curriculum, that has rules and regulations guiding them, structured and formal. Now, for a lot of people, more than that, school is an environment through which we acquire knowledge and skills needed for us to thrive in the economy that a lot of people call marketplace or job place.
Yeah.
Now, is it a scam? No. Has it ever been a scam at the point in time? No. Does it look like it will go into a time where school will be a scam? No, still. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people have the wrong notion of what schooling would do for them nowadays. And that is why many people begin to chant school is a scam. Because people assume or believe or think that once you come to school, you graduate, then there is opportunity or employment should be automatically waiting for you.
Yeah.
And that is not the case.
Yeah.
The world is quite competitive and overwhelmingly complex. Now, for that fact, school is an environment that will build what we call a total being, a total man. Man in quote now, not a gender specific. Yeah. So a total man, skill set, social etiquette, knowledge, character building. That is why when we graduate, they say you have been found worthy in learning and character. That is what school is meant to do for us. So someone who lacks character, we can't say the person has gone through schooling or the person is educated.
He went to school, but no.
The school has exactly. The person so someone who has gone to school but has not learned anything, so to speak, for what they would be useful to the society for, the person is not educated. So we miss education and schooling. We think that anyone who has gone to school truly is educated, but not exactly true. Some people have gone through schools, they've acquired certifications, but they are not still educated because they have not done some recalibration of mind, engineering of their own individual social construct, so to speak. Now, where do we go from here? Where a lot of people keep chanting education is a scam. The answers or recommendation will be for anyone who is going to school now to have it in mind that school is not the end, or is not an end, it's a means to an end. Now, let's dive away from that and still go on this education and say, has there been a time where education has helped people become great people? The answer, of course, is obvious for all of us.
Definitely.
All of our great people have their roots within education. I mean, they went to school before they became whatever they want. Even those who probably got into greatness without going to school, they still went to school after they reached the limelight or when they now found themselves in greatness. What do we then do? There are people today whose only means out of poverty was education.
Yeah.
There are people today who graduated, they got scholarship abroad, and their life changed for the good.
Yeah, definitely.
They got life-changing opportunity.
Yeah.
What would happen to those people if they had not gone to school? Education can never be a scam. So there are people today who meet the most important people in their life, the people who impacted them the most within the university system.
I think that is one of the most overlooked part of the university.
Absolutely.
I think for me, it has not been more about the education itself, but more about the people I related with.
Yeah.
Talking about fellow students, talking about lecturers, talking about even entrepreneurs. You'll see some lecturers that are actually lecturers, but entrepreneurs on the side.
Yeah.
You will see some students that are full-time students and also having so many things that they are going to. And I think that is what we should, personally, that is what I looked at the most. And I think that's what has been able to help me when it comes to school itself or the education itself. So I looked at those people and learned from them.
Absolutely.
And I believe that is the best avenue that you can have.
And explore.
A
lot of people argue that why go to school when you can learn most of these curriculum and academic frameworks from YouTube. And obviously that is true. You can learn them. So then in that case, YouTube is also a school. If only people know that yes, YouTube is also a school. The only difference is that it is virtual. You don't have to be in the physical environment of a lot of people coming together. So the elements missing is that you meet a lot of people on the in-person campus. So YouTube can also be seen as a campus. It is also a school. So people should understand what school means, what education means, and not just mix things up or mix them. So education is never a scam. Education can never be a scam. And of course, I've tasted education. I've tasted not being educated at a point. I recommend education 100%.
Yeah, I also recommend education, especially when they say extracurricular activities.
Absolutely.
I know you also mentioned it so many times that as a student you have to have extracurricular
Yes.
activities. And personally, with all other people that I've spoken to as well, that has been the most part of their
The
journey.
hammer on. Yeah.
Like as you said, your public speaking, that's although it was an avenue for you to develop your public speaking
Absolutely.
skill, but it was in itself an extracurricular activity.
Yes.
And that is very, very important.
I think before we go away from this education, one of the things I also hammer is that when you go to school, get good grades. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people still believe that once they graduate, they want to go into the economy through employment. But the reality is, today, the employment pool is quite competitive because of the overwhelming complexity that exists in that pool. So, because it is quite competitive, you need to come correct. And part of coming correct is to show and demonstrate that you, when you were in school, you have a bit of excellence within you through your academic grades. And of course, your soft skills, extracurricular skills that you have developed, skills that you have developed through your extracurricular activities. Now, two things. First, graduate well, excellently, either first class or second class upper. In fact, if you can't do everything to get a first class, it shows how committed you are to that endeavor. It does not necessarily mean you are the most intelligent, but it means that you are diligent, you're committed. So it means that if you are diligent to your academics when you're in school, we can take it to say you can or will be diligent to the jobs that we want to employ you to do. That is the nexus. One. However, I always again like to put a clause that we are not saying that getting a first class is an automatic ticket to good life.
Yeah.
But we are saying that it can open doors for you that other grades may not be open to you. What then do you do? Ensure that you have a good integration. I don't want to say balance now because there's no balance.
Actually,
Yes. So a good integration of academic excellence and extracurricular excellence. So when I was much in school, I always say that if I do not become a first class graduate, then I must become a first class personality. That was the thing for me. So if I was not going to get a first class, then I must develop myself to get a first class personality, because then it is my personality that will first introduce me before they get to know what grade I finished with. So it means that you can't miss out on both. You, as a student or as someone who is still in school, you should not miss out on become. So what does it mean to become a first class personality? It means that you work on developing yourself every single day and be a high profile person, not a popular person, not a famous person, but a high profile person, because it is an high profile person that other high profile people would want to interact with, and that is how it connects. Yeah.
I think you actually gave me the answer to my next question.
Oh, great.
I was about to ask that, looking at the effort that it takes to either get a first class or a second class, should I actually put in that effort at the
And then
detriment of
abandon
my
every other
exactly,
extracurricular.
or should I try to, as you said, integrate? Because in the real sense, there's no balance. You have to shift to one side than the other.
Absolutely.
So, but then, which side should you lean towards more?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say there is a particular side that you should lean towards the most, but I would want to lean towards academic excellence first, and I'll tell you why. If you get a first class today, you've gotten it forever. It is in your portfolio for life that you graduated with a first class. some of the skills that you probably were not able to develop in school, if you are diligent enough, it just take a year post graduation, you will recoup them, you will learn them.
Yeah.
But you cannot go back immediately to school to get that first class that you missed. However, I understand the role extracurricular activities play in our life upon graduation, because it is what makes you even see opportunities and grab them, because you believe that you are fit for that opportunity given your background, your experiences, and exposure. So, which one should we lean towards more? To be honest, yes, academic excellence, because they always tell us in school that your primary assignment in school is what? Academics. But we should not abandon engaging in activities that would develop our personality, sets, character building, social development, career development generally. All of this can still work. Regardless of the course we are studying, regardless of how tough some of these courses can be, we can still integrate something. There are people who are going to be great business men or business women or business tycoon as they go on. So they need to start practicing that sales and business even while in school, to learn the very rudiment part of business firsthand while in school before they have money or people invest in them to run larger businesses. Right? So school is an avenue. So for those who are going to be in the career space, they need a couple of internship while in school to make the mistakes they want to make early enough in career. They would know what it means to get sacked. They will know what it means to work in a toxic environment or good environment. So it helps them in the choices they make post graduation. So it is a very good thing to do, extracurricular activities. So I think both should be married, regardless of what course you're studying, but just ensure that you are not majoring in the minor and minoring in the major. For someone who is studying medicine, for instance, and who wants to practice medicine, they cannot abandon largely the academics and be focusing on student unionism, for instance.
So it depends on your.
So field also matters, and the kind of projection you have yourself for the future.
So one other thing that I want you to, let's say, clarify, or just want to hear your thoughts about, is when it comes to the school system, I mean, the knowledge being impacted on students
Yeah.
and the job, what the job demands. Because I've spoke with different accountants and engineers, and their perspective was that, I mean, people in the industry,
those fields.
their perspective is like the education is not impacting what needs to be impacted on students. So in the real sense, when student comes to the industry, when students come to the industry, they need to undergo another thing in itself. So from your own experience, is that really true, or is just
Yes, that is true to the bone.
it's true to the bone?
Yes.
Wow,
First is there is a big mismatch
a big one.
between what is obtainable in the university curriculum or tertiary institution curriculum, so to speak, and what the work requires or the job requires or the economy requires. So let's break it down. A lot of courses that we currently study in the universities, they are now obsolete.
Yeah,
In fact, many of the courses, I don't want to use the word most, many of the courses are courses for the past and not for the present, let alone the future. And if you want an economy or a society that grows and thrive and advance, we need what we call future-proof courses to be integrated into our academic system, because that is largely where we learn for the job.
yes,
Now, say for instance, many engineers today learned more of mathematics and
right,
its
yes.
subordinates when they were in school. So it's only a few who are lucky enough to get some real-time hands-on experiences with other engineers. So many engineers, meanwhile, the world as is changing gradually, is improving, advancing gradually every day, that most of these things they've learned, they cannot apply them. They are not applicable on the field. They will need to sit down and learn entirely new again. In fact, some of them know that they can't function if they don't learn certain use of applications and software with the current situation of the country. So it is the same for a lot of other fields too. So it is true that there's a big mismatch and that we can't even begin to whitewash. There's a big mismatch within what is obtainable in terms of our courses that are available in the tertiary institutions and what the jobs demand. So we need our education administrators to help look into refining and integrating these future-proof courses and programs
Yeah,
into our university curriculum. In fact, it would make schooling more interesting.
more
It would
interesting,
make schooling
exactly.
more interesting because people are learning in real time and they are seeing when they can see what they are learning, when they can on the spot see how it's advancing the life, how it's making life better, or how it's improving the quality of life, they would take more keen interest in learning and not just the cramming of or memorization of formulas, theories, and the likes of that.
I actually agree to that 100%. And yeah, you mentioned that talking about world advancement and then the economic advancement in general and technology advancement, as you said. I want to ask your thoughts about the ongoing AI trend.
Okay.
Just a side question. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, of course. A lot of people have shared their opinion on AI. And one thing I've learned, and I think many of us have to come to agree, is the fact that AI has come to stay. And we
Definitely.
are even just scratching the surface
I
of
mean,
what
that's 100%.
of what AI has brought to us. AI has not come to displace people of their jobs, so to say, but it has come to make their jobs easier, more efficient, more effective, and seamless. So we have to understand that the world is moving towards seamless operations in all facets of human endeavor. We want efficient, fast, and seamless. So that is what AI has come to help us do. Now, what then should we do? We need to begin to integrate AI in our activities, in the workplace, in our businesses, and then master the use of AI. Because from artificial intelligence, to be honest, cannot take the place of human intelligence. Because it
Yeah,
takes human intelligence for artificial intelligence to even come to life.
exactly.
So
I mean,
human intelligence will still remain superior.
yeah,
But artificial intelligence can now ride over human intelligence if human intelligence decides to stay
yeah,
stagnant. So there is
put
need for
together.
human intelligence to continue to develop so that artificial intelligence will continue to also develop. And we will have an advanced world, of course, that no one will be threatened because everyone knows how to use, everyone would now know how to use the tool. Even when some people will be displaced of their job, it would also create another window
Another
of
job.
job opportunity for a lot of other people.
Yeah, and the way I also look at AI is just like computers.
Yeah.
At the first touch with computers, when computers started emerging, there
Mm.
were so many backlashes, just as we see that, no, these things are going to take our jobs and things like that. But then we saw how it grew and how it developed that it is now integrated to everything you do.
Absolutely.
Previously, when accounting were done using hands and,
Mm.
calculations,
Yeah.
ledger, and things like that. But now you just go to your Excel and then you do it as fast as
You
possible. So
automate and
yeah,
you get the
exactly,
stuff done.
automation. And I also think that that is what AI is going to do. It
Absolutely.
just depends on your own personal development,
Yes.
whether you are going to develop to that level that you master AI, or whether you are going to get relegated and then you will be left behind.
Absolutely.
I have followed you on your platforms, on your LinkedIn, on your WhatsApp platforms, and your other platforms. And I tend to see that you have a lot that you do. I mean, talk about family, talk about your personal job, talk about your, madrasa that you do, and a lot of things that I'm actually very surprised how you manage these things. And there was um, this particular occurrence. It was, I think, I was not sure, a day before you became a father.
Okay.
And then that night, we were having one of the serial classes. And then you joined as normal, like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And when I got to know the second day that you just became a father, I was like, wait, was it not the same guy that we were having this class? And I couldn't like fathom how you're able to, integrate everything together and it works from a third party perspective. It works like seamless. I don't know whether
I
Yeah,
understand you.
exactly. But it looks so amazing for me. I'm not able to wrap my head around how you're able to do so many things together and make and smash everything. So let me ask this question: what is your secret to time management?
Are there secrets? I don't want. There are no secrets, or let me say there are what we call open secrets.
Okay.
You know, time management is life management.
Yeah, definitely.
Time management in itself does not really exist.
Hmm.
We have 24 hours a day. It is there. It's not going anywhere. Every day, everyone gets 24 hours.
Yeah,
So it is life management that we have with our time. So how do we manage our
that's,
own life?
that's a different perspective on that.
Yes. Now let me break it down. For in the career space, we do it this way. For tasks that are related to jobs, career, but it's more than jobs now. It's more than our career now.
Yeah.
But let's use that template to analyze it. So in the career space, we have what we call the time management. Let me say there's a word for it, but I forgot right now. But it's more like something we divide into four.
Hmm.
In a square, then you divide it into four. Each box has what it entails or what it contains.
Hmm.
So for a box here says urgent and important. The next box says urgent but not important. The other one says important but not urgent. The other one says not urgent, not important. Now, for task, I'm using the workplace now.
Yeah,
So we now
this one.
integrate it in the other areas. For workplace, so the one that we say it is urgent and important means that you must attend to it immediately. Because if you don't attend to it, the consequences could be that there will be more tasks to now do after. So maybe be a backlog of tasks that would bring forth. So the ones that say not urgent but important, what you should do is most likely delegate that one. You're working on your report, it is urgent and it's important. You need to submit that report.
Yeah,
At the same time, the clothes that you would be packing to travel, to
yeah,
take with you to travel, you have just been called that the driver is at say Eleweran or say Kuto Park.
yeah.
It is important. It is urgent. It is important.
Important.
It is urgent too, but not urgent as
The
this
one,
other
yeah,
one. That one, the best thing to do is to delegate at
delegate.
that time. Find someone who can help you get it, or find a means. Maybe you send it to bike or anything, or through dispatch or whatever means, so that you would have
Free
that
of that
time.
task. Yeah,
So that is not urgent but important. The other one is, sorry, that one is urgent but not
not important.
important. So you delegate.
Yeah,
The one that is important and not urgent,
yeah.
you delay it a bit. This one is important but it's not urgent, so I
You
can
can plan towards
towards
that.
it. So the one that is urgent but not important as what you're doing is the one you would delegate for. Now the final one is not important, not urgent. The most ideal thing to do if you don't have enough time is to delete it. Not important, not urgent, delete it. But if you have some time, like your leisure, then factor it into the plan and do it. So now if you apply the same principle to almost everything you do, it can help you. To be honest, there is need for priorities. So
Yeah,
our priorities changes per time.
definitely.
So we need to know when to prioritize what. So our priority game is what we need to improve on
Mm.
to get our life together. There won't be balance. You will miss out on a lot of things. You will not get some things right. It will not look, it will not be perfect that you do, but it is also not advisable to have your hand and neck deep into a lot of things. But you can do a couple of things together, but not a lot of
Not,
things because
not overwhelm
you
yourself.
get overwhelmed and you get distracted. So let me take it back to the question. The day you said that I was doing an addendum to a class and my wife was in labor practically, and I was there, but she was already in the theater, in the labor room. I At that point I cannot do anything to support other than
Yeah,
praying
yeah,
and hoping. So, and what we're doing was a class. It was an Islamic class.
yeah.
So I felt I can still facilitate the class without any panic, because I believe that at that point everything now is rest with Allah, because we have done our part. She has been attending our antenatals and everything, and I'm there with her in the hospital. But I do not need to panic. There was a class. I can take the class. I know that everything is within Allah. And alhamdulillah, some hours after that, she was delivered of a baby boy. So that's, it's not something. I think it takes just courage to understand that there are things that are absolutely out of control for you as a person.
Yeah, it's
You
more of
don't need to say
tawakkul.
you want to control everything. Just do your own bits at every point in time,
Yeah.
and you get whatever results you get. You're fine,
You have
because
to
we are Muslims
understand that
now.
we humans, we are limited. We are
Absolutely,
limited. So
yes,
I think the greatest tool of a human being is to understand your own limitations.
absolutely,
If you have understood your own limitations, then you will know, okay, this is where I can go, and this
yes,
is where I have to call it
just
quits.
exactly,
Also, being someone that follows your platform, I know you've mentioned a lot about morality, and being a Muslim and being someone that is, should I say, very logical and philosophical. I feel that morality is part of human beings, and it is very important for us to have a successful society.
absolutely,
And uh, even even if we kind of sideline the religious part, there's things that are called the arm principle and things like that. The morality is something that we cannot do without.
yeah,
And if we remove it out of the uh,
equation,
equation, then we will just, I feel there will be a lot of degradation of the society. Particularly, you mentioned something which I would like to get some clarification rather. You mentioned that with the way the society is trending, you are going to be having a lot of useless alpha males.
okay,
And that's, I actually quoted the word exactly the way you said it. And I want some clarification on that.
yeah.
And I also want to know what are your thoughts regarding the trends that the society is following through.
Yeah, thank you so much. Morality is part of our human exist. It's part of human existence, and it is one of the instruments of social construction. At every level of institution, family, school, political institution, religious institution, and every other form of institution, morality plays a big role. Now, our moral consciousness differs, and there are levels to it,
Yeah,
because of, by nature, we all have different exposure while growing up. Exposure in terms of the kind of religious activity you are exposed to, the kind of people you are also exposed to, the kind of books and content you consume. All of these things form the prism of your morality as an individual. Now, morality is not something that is rigid, that we have to say, oh, it is like this, it must be like this.
yeah,
We have to understand that morality is somehow customized to individuals' value. So everyone would act in accordance with the way they see life. But morality is, there's a pinnacle that holds the society together. The only reason why our society has been on a sporadic move of degradation for the past decade now, a decade or 2 decades now, is because morality is already being taken out of the window. It's more like there's less caution on morality, on why we should be morally conscious,
yeah.
and there's more of do what works for you, do what makes
What
you
people
happy,
of
and all of these things. So what we hear now is do what makes you happy, but what makes us happy as human a lot of times they are harmful. What makes us happy as human a lot of times they are not morally okay. They are not morally acceptable. We are humans, and these things come to us naturally. So what I think of morality is that everyone should try the best they can to continue to uphold whatever morals they have. And I will understand again from the perspective of someone who interacts with a lot of people and does counseling. I do not think people want to be immoral
Hmm,
by nature.
Why do you say that?
Yes, exposure changes people. Exposure to wealth, exposure to power, exposure to influence, exposure to affluence, exposure to poverty. All of this make people become immoral or make people begin to contemplate immorality. By nature, the way we are created by Allah, we are supposed to be good. Of course, we have the other part of us which
Yeah.
always want us to do evil, but we are naturally supposed to be good. But like I said, exposure is what brings about immorality. If you stay around immoral people who do a certain immoral act for a long period, before you know it, you will begin to consider it as something
You
normal.
be desensitized and you see it as something
You
perfectly
get
normal.
you see you begin to you also find excuse for it, even if you are not indulging.
Yeah,
It's just a
exactly.
question of time
Yeah,
before you begin to, if you don't advocate for it, you begin to justify it even if you don't indulge in it. So morality, take Yahoo for instance, or cybercrime and cybercrime activities, related activities. There are people who don't do it, but they will tell you that they cannot say it is immoral
yeah,
because of what people go through before they eventually decide to take it as the next thing to do. That's why I said exposure makes people become immoral. Exposure to poverty, exposure to wealth,
well,
exposure to
influence,
influence, affluence,
affluence,
power.
power, yeah,
These are what makes some of our leaders change. Exposure to power.
yeah.
Some people will think, oh, these people they are morally upright. They've upheld moral consciousness for a
Standards,
long period. You see, so morality is something that all of us must strive. And one thing that I don't know whatever level of moral consciousness that we are on. But one thing I want every individual who probably come across this video to begin to do is to let us work on increasing our level of modesty. I do not say shyness, because shyness can be linked to being an introvert, which may not be good for your potential to be actualized. Shyness is not the word now, but being shameful and bashful is different from being shy.
yeah,
So I need to clarify it. So we have to be bashful. We have to be modest. So let us keep working on modesty. Modesty in attitude, modesty
yeah.
in the way we talk, modesty in the way we interact, modesty in the way we react to situation, so that we don't just take caution out of the window totally and we just think that, oh, nobody. So the line where I said we are moving to a world where a lot of people will become useless alpha males is because there are too many content creators, because I don't want to call them thought leaders. I would rather use the word
Content creators,
content creators for them. So there are too many content creators who are dominating the social media space and teaching young boys to be what they are not supposed to be.
yes,
Teaching young boys to be disrespectful to women, teaching young boys to not like women, to not care for women, right? Teaching young boys to see women as tools or objects of sexual satisfaction and nothing more. So, because we are seeing even relationship that God Himself has ordained, seeing it as transaction,
yeah. Just like a business transaction, you do and get a
just like a random business transaction. Of course, even in the Islamic perspective, we consider it as a transaction, but not that kind of transaction that these boys preach,
yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Do you understand? So these alpha males, in quotes, they are damaging the society because a lot rests on the shoulders of the men of the society. A lot rests the same with the women, but a lot rests on the shoulders of the society because they are the ones who also engineer society. They are the social engineers of our.
Why women are the architects?
Women are the architects, men are the engineers. So if the engineers do not get it right, then the building collapses. So that is what we are getting. So we need men who are well trained, well mannered, well cultured, and upright in their thinking to direct the affairs of our society.
I also think that's why we have so many, the rise of the um, misogynistic men, the
Absolutely.
misogynists,
They are in the
and then
same
the
class.
feminism too.
They are all in the same class.
Exactly. And I think, although I think there have been so many backlashes against them from different angles, but then I think a lot still needs to be done when it
Mm,
comes to raising men and also raising um, females as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've come to the end of the questions that I have.
Okay.
I actually had a lot, but then the time wouldn't permit us.
Okay.
So I want us to play a simple game.
Okay.
It's very a simple game. So
Uh,
it's a this or that where you voice out
okay.
your opinions about two things that are contrasting or should I say
Okay.
controversial.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Let's shoot.
Okay. First thing, when it comes to investing, would you rather invest in Bitcoin or
Oh,
or real estate?
real estate.
Why?
The answers are there. Real estate naturally appreciates you back if you do it right.
Yes, definitely.
But Bitcoin
It's going to
or
appreciate.
cryptocurrency generally has its
It's
large
less
share of
randomization.
how do I put it now? Is it fair? It's not fair, but large share of uh,
It's less predictable.
no, there's a word I'm looking for. It's not even predictability, but close to predictability. So because of the instability that comes with cryptocurrency, I would rather invest in real estate because I know it's if you do it well, you do it right, it appreciates you back.
Next one, will you rather choose to work remotely
Okay.
or work on site?
I would have to stay in between now. I prefer
That's
hybrid
good.
work mode. The reason is because some of my work, so some part of me require me to meet people physically and interact. That
Yeah,
is
being
how
a
I get
public
in.
speaker.
That's why I get charged, right? So and apart from that, it's good for the mind and the body
Yeah,
to
definitely.
interact with people. So I would rather work hybrid. Hybrid to me is the best mode of work.
Actually, it is.
Yeah.
You have that
But
flexibility.
if there is
Then,
need for me to choose,
yeah, just choose
I
one.
may lean towards remote work.
I
If
think
there is
remote
need to choose,
gives you that flexibility that you need.
a lot of time, but not all the time.
But there's actually a sideline to working flexible that people don't actually look towards, especially from someone that is dedicated to their work.
Mm.
You know, when you are working on site,
Yeah.
once you leave the office, most likely you wouldn't work till you get back to office. But when you are working remotely, most times they can just give you a call that we have to do this, then just be like, since I'm already working remotely, let me just add it to my task.
Task.
And you then do overtime without even getting paid.
So everything has both the highlights and the
Exactly.
lowlights.
So the next one is a bit tricky.
Okay.
iPhone or Android?
It's not tricky, Android.
Why Android?
I've always been a fan of Android. I like Android phone. I do not detest iPhone, but I prefer Android.
No, the deal. Okay, another one. You rather prefer to read books or take courses? You have to choose one.
I have to choose one.
I
Take
think I got
courses.
to do.
Take courses because this is me. This is someone in that course. Someone has summarized the entire experience that I need to learn or get or knowledge, their entire knowledge or a share of their knowledge that I need to do instantly in the course. Reading book, on the other hand, I can read book and still probably struggle with getting along with whatever it is that I've read. Even though reading books largely is to help me open my mind to whatever scenario we are working on. But courses is to is oftentimes designed to help me improve on perhaps a skill or an understanding. So I'd rather take a course.
I actually go with that as well because there was this documentary that was actually written in a book.
Mm.
I watched the video. The video was about an hour, over an hour. The documentary of What is a Woman by Matt Walsh.
Okay.
So it's delved into the LGBT and asking questions. And when I wanted to read the book, the first page was basically the first scene of the video.
Definitely.
So the book was just
The book
a
has how many pages? Can you remember?
I think about 300 pages.
And that would take you not less than
Exactly. It will
not,
take
not less
more
than three
time.
weeks.
We, we've had a lot of conversations today, and this question actually relates to the conversations we've
Okay.
had.
Okay.
So, would you rather choose to have portfolios? I mean, portfolios of your previous works
Yeah.
or certifications?
They do not serve the same purpose.
If you had to choose between one,
If I'm to choose between one, portfolios.
why portfolio?
Because portfolio already shows what you are capable of doing, what you've done. It is your sales page to get the job. Certification, of course, is also to show your level of professionalism or authority in the space. But portfolio will give you off first before certification. So I'll go with portfolio.
I agree with that. Okay, so the last one is a bit funny.
Okay.
Would you rather prefer a voice note or a phone call?
Phone call.
Why?
I like the real time. I
Conversations.
like real time conversations and the spirit of that real time exchange of thoughts in the phone call. Even though voice note has larger advantages because you can always retrace or listen again and get some things right or get something clearer. And it can be denied, but phone calls can be denied if it's not recorded. But I still prefer phone calls.
I think I would actually go with voice notes because I feel when you are using voice notes, you still have that chance to, sit back and think about what you want to
Give us response.
give as a response compared to
Some of
phone
us are
call that
just
is on
natural
demand.
conversationists. We love it
Exactly.
as it comes.
Well, I think we've come to the end of the game.
All right, thank you so much.
I would also like to have an overview of how your routine is because
Okay.
one thing we are actually trying to do on this show is trying to portray to people that, as Muslims, you can still make waves, you can still, become that entrepreneur that you want to become that public speaker, become that, influential without losing your or compromising
Islamic.
your values. So just a little bit of how your daily routine looks like.
Okay. So what my ideal day looks like is this. Save the night part. Let's start from the morning part. So the morning part, of course, the first thing we do is to go to the masjid,
Yeah, definitely.
observe Salatul Subh. So I stay in the masjid for a couple of, sometimes an hour, sometimes less than that, sometimes more than that, depending on how long my tilawa wants to go and my adhkar. So I do my adhkar and tilawatul Quran. That one is the constant thing in the morning. So when I come back, if I'm working from home because I work hybrid, sometimes I
Okay.
have to be on the site. The number of time I have to work from home, and I have a couple of tasks that I do, not only one engagement. So if I come back home, sometimes I rest a little bit. Other times, I try to check in from the previous day's task and what I need to complete. There's some platforms I need to log into work-wise to begin to read that I've started my day for work. Then all the updates from the past that I need to give to probably my line manager at every point in time, I do that. The ones I need to also get from my own subordinates, I do that. Then work just starts. You get to do meetings, do calls, work calls. Then after a while, breakfast, of course, we have breakfast. Then after breakfast, we continue working. Sometimes, if I'm working away from home, I have to step out and go to work wherever my work site is for that day. Or if I have an interview, sometimes part of my work requires that I go to the TV station, radio station for media engagement. So I go to some communities also
Yeah.
for community engagement. So that is part of my work. And also, other time, part of my work requires me to go to institutions, institutions. So I do this. For the day when I work from home, when it's time for Zur 1:30, so I'm usually the one who even lead the prayer at the masjid and also does the Iqamah a number of times because in the afternoon a lot of people are not around. So I do that. 1:30, I go to the masjid, I'm back home. 4 p.m., the same thing. The work continues. Then 4 p.m., the same thing. So what I do after that 4 is that sometimes I go to the field to play football just to stretch.
You still play
And
football?
I do, yeah. I create time to just to for exercise sake. So when I'm back, I observe Maghrib prayers, Isha, stay in the masjid for Isha prayers, then other activities, some of my own personal activities like training, like classes that I must have had that is not for customized work related. My own classes, personal classes, Arabic classes, madrasa, all of these will be attended to late into the night, inshallah. And we observe after Isha till whatever we are able to sleep, alhamdulillah.
Now, it's been a really great session, and I've been able to learn a lot. Like, I mean, a lot. Talking about public speaking, time management, your experiences. I'm really grateful that I'm able to learn so much from you. So before we end the podcast, we'd like some parting words from your end, so we can hold on to that.
First, I think it's also important for me to say thank you so much for finding me worthy to be on this show. I see it as a big privilege, and I do not take it for granted. I want to appreciate the good works you're doing with this podcast, and I believe that there will be more to do with this podcast, and I pray that this grow even beyond your own imagination. So my parting words for all of us, anybody who come across this video, would be that it is something a lot of people know already. I used to say that remember that we're on the mission to make the rest of our lives the best of our lives. If that resonates deeply with us personally as we journey through life, we'll continue to make efforts every single day of our life to improve. And the more we improve, the closer we get to the victory. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good having you.
No, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tèmi bá fẹ́ lọ bìkan ní ìfàpèjúwe mo lè calculate pé báyìí ni mo ṣe máa ṣe báyìí ni mo ṣe máa ṣe. I know that there will be a bit of inconveniences little by little, díẹ̀ tí máa kíkí ní ẹ̀ lè jọra wọn.
Exactly. Now I dey talk say that you